The cameras had just started rolling on another bright morning at CBS Studios in New York. The glass walls gleamed under the studio lights, the skyline of Manhattan serving as the perfect backdrop. The familiar voice of Gayle King filled the air as she welcomed viewers to CBS Mornings, promising a conversation that would, as she put it, push boundaries and raise questions. Her guest was none other than Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex. For weeks, headlines had teased her appearance. The producers expected it to be polished, insightful, even healing. But what they got instead was something far different. Meghan entered the studio with her usual composure, her sleek black dress contrasting sharply with the soft pastel palette of the set. Her calm smile masked the nervous energy buzzing inside her. She knew Gayle was not going to make this easy. Gayle King had been a longtime friend of Oprah Winfrey, and while Meghan had trusted Oprah for her tell-all interview years ago, Gayle was known for pressing harder, cutting through polite answers, and pushing guests to reveal what they often wished to keep hidden. The opening questions were warm enough. Gayle asked about Meghan's philanthropic work, her children, Archie and Lilibet, and her life in California. Meghan responded with carefully measured answers, projecting grace and gratitude. But Gayle's tone soon shifted. "Meghan," Gayle said, leaning forward with that sharp glint in her eye, "a lot of people are asking the same thing. You've stepped back from royal duties, you've criticized the institution, and yet, you still use the title Duchess of Sussex. Isn't that contradictory?" The studio went quiet for a split second. Meghan straightened in her chair, keeping her smile but tightening her grip on the armrest. "I don't see it as contradictory," she replied. "My marriage to Prince Harry gave me that title. It's part of who I am. But my work today stands on its own merit, beyond any title." Gayle didn't flinch. She pressed further. "But don't you think some might see it as capitalizing on the very system you say caused you pain? You've spoken about wanting independence, but your book, your Netflix projects, your interviews, they all highlight your royal connection. Isn't that still profiting from the monarchy?" A murmur ran through the production team off camera. This wasn't on the pre-approved list of questions Meghan's team had insisted upon. Her PR advisor, sitting just beyond the cameras, shifted uneasily in his seat. Meghan's smile faltered for the first time. "Gayle, with respect, my story is my truth. I'm not profiting off pain, I'm sharing experiences that many women around the world can relate to. Silence only protects the institution, not the individual." Gayle nodded slowly but didn't let up. "But do you ever consider that by continuing to speak, you're also deepening the divide with Harry's family? Some people say you've turned private grievances into a global brand." That word, brand, made Meghan's eyes flash. She leaned forward, her tone sharper now. "This isn't about branding. This is about survival. Do you understand what it's like to be silenced? To have your voice taken from you?" The audience in the studio shifted in their seats. The intensity between the two women was undeniable. Gayle, unfazed, shot back, "I understand wanting a voice. But Meghan, sometimes it feels less like being silenced and more like wanting the last word. How do you respond to critics who say you're not just telling your truth, you're rewriting history?" That was the breaking point. Meghan's composure cracked. She turned to Gayle fully, her voice low but cutting. "You don't get to decide what my history is. You weren't there. And with all due respect, Gayle, you've never had to walk into a palace and realize that behind the walls, you're utterly alone." The tension was so thick that the crew exchanged anxious looks. Gayle tried to steer it back to calm waters, but Meghan wasn't finished. "For years, I was told to smile, to stay quiet, to fit into a mold designed centuries ago by men. When I spoke up, I was told I was difficult, ungrateful. But now, when I defend myself, I'm accused of playing the victim. Which is it? Do people want me silent or screaming?" Her voice echoed in the studio. The silence afterward was deafening. Gayle crossed her arms, choosing her words carefully. "What people want, Meghan, is authenticity. And right now, some wonder whether authenticity has been overshadowed by ambition." Meghan stared at her for a long moment, her jaw tightening. Then she said quietly, "Ambition isn't a dirty word. Unless you're a woman." The cameras caught every flicker of expression. Millions of viewers at home watched as the interview spiraled away from polite conversation into something raw, unscripted, and on the edge of collapse. Backstage, the executive producer debated whether to cut to commercial. But the ratings were climbing by the second. The clash was magnetic television. And then it happened. Gayle, perhaps pushing one step too far, leaned in and asked, "If you truly wanted privacy, Meghan, why are you sitting here now, in front of millions of viewers?" Meghan's eyes widened, her voice rising for the first time. "Don't twist my words, Gayle. Privacy doesn't mean silence. It means having control over your story, not handing it to tabloids that profit from lies." The air practically crackled. Gayle tried to interject, but Meghan raised her hand sharply, her composure gone. "I won't sit here and be cross-examined like this as a courtroom. You invited me here for a conversation, not an ambush." The producer's voice crackled in Gayle's earpiece. "We need to wrap now." But Meghan wasn't finished. She stood up abruptly, the microphone wire snapping free from her dress. Gasps filled the studio. Gayle tried to stop her, but Meghan's voice rang out, fierce and unfiltered. "I will not be disrespected like this, not on live television." The cameras were still rolling. The viewers at home saw Meghan Markle storm off the set of CBS Mornings, leaving Gayle King frozen in her chair, papers in hand, and the studio buzzing with shock. The feed cut abruptly to commercial, but the damage was done. The clip was already being clipped, tweeted, and replayed across social media. For Meghan, the fallout had only just begun. The cut to commercial break lasted only 60 seconds, but behind the cameras, the studio was chaos. Meghan's empty chair sat under the glaring lights, her microphone discarded on the floor. Gayle King was still seated, flipping her notes nervously as producers rushed toward her with frantic instructions. "Do we bring her back? Do we apologize?" one whispered. Gayle shook her head, her face taut. "She's gone." And she was right. Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, had swept through the backstage hallway, her heels clicking sharply against the polished studio floor. Her team scrambled after her, trying to calm her down, but Meghan brushed them off. They wanted a spectacle. "Well, they got one," she muttered bitterly as she pushed through the exit doors into the crisp Manhattan morning. By the time the show returned from commercial, the internet had already exploded. #Meghan Storms Out began trending within minutes. Clips of her fiery exchange with Gayle were uploaded, edited, and dissected on every platform. Some viewers praised her for standing her ground, calling Gayle's questions aggressive and disrespectful. Others accused Meghan of playing the victim once again, pointing to her walkout as proof of her unwillingness to face tough scrutiny. CBS executives convened an emergency meeting that afternoon. Ratings had spiked during the segment, millions more had tuned in once word spread that Meghan had stormed off, but the backlash was sharp. Sponsors were uneasy, and the network worried about the optics of hosting another interview with Meghan anytime soon. By the end of the day, a statement was quietly drafted. Greater than, CBS Mornings values open dialogue and respectful discourse. While yesterday's interview took an unexpected turn, we remain committed to journalism that seeks truth and understanding. At this time, we do not anticipate inviting the Duchess of Sussex back for future appearances. The words were carefully chosen, but their meaning was clear. Meghan Markle had been effectively banned. Harry's response. When Meghan returned to California later that evening, the first thing she saw upon landing was a swarm of paparazzi waiting at LAX. Shouts of, "Meghan, why'd you storm out?" and, "Is CBS banning you for good?" filled the air. Harry, standing by the car, pulled her close, shielding her as cameras flashed wildly. Once inside the vehicle, Meghan collapsed against the seat, exhausted. Harry took her hand. "You don't have to explain yourself to them." But she shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "Harry, they'll twist everything again. I wanted to be heard, but now they'll say I'm unstable, dramatic. That I can't handle pressure." Harry's jaw tightened. "Let them talk. The truth is, you stood up for yourself. You didn't let anyone corner you. That's strength, Meghan." Still, she knew the headlines were already being written. The world reacts. The next morning, newspapers and digital outlets across the globe splashed the story across their front pages. Daily Mail, Markle meltdown, Meghan storms off live TV. New York Post, Duchess vs. Gayle, explosive clash rocks CBS. The Guardian, privacy, authenticity, and ambition, the Meghan Markle debate reignites. Television talk shows replayed the footage on loop. On one side, commentators accused Meghan of hypocrisy, seeking attention while demanding privacy. On the other, women's advocacy groups applauded her for calling out double standards and refusing to be talked over. Social media was split. Some memes mocked her storm out, but others circulated powerful quotes from the interview, especially her pointed remark, "Ambition isn't a dirty word. Unless you're a woman." Behind closed doors at CBS. Inside CBS headquarters, the fallout wasn't limited to Meghan. Gayle King faced criticism too. Some viewers claimed she'd crossed the line into hostility. An internal memo acknowledged the tension. Greater than, while Ms. King followed journalistic instincts, we must balance accountability with fairness. Viewers expect challenging interviews, not confrontations that verge on personal. Gayle, however, remained firm. In a private conversation with colleagues, she defended her approach. "I asked the questions people wanted answered. Meghan's reaction isn't on me, it's on her." Still, the network's decision stood. Meghan Markle would not be invited back. Meghan's countermove. But Meghan wasn't about to let CBS define the narrative. Within days, she sat down with her team in Montecito, determined to take back control. "They silenced me once," she told them, "but I won't let them do it again. If CBS shuts the door, we'll open another one ourselves." Her team proposed releasing a carefully edited video statement on her foundation's social media channels. Meghan agreed, but insisted on speaking without a script. The video, released a week later, showed Meghan sitting in her garden, sunlight filtering through the trees. She looked directly into the camera. "I walked off that set because I refused to let anyone question whether my voice matters," she said calmly. "Every woman who has ever been told she's too ambitious, too outspoken, too difficult, you know what I felt in that moment. I wasn't just standing up for myself. I was standing up for all of us." The video went viral within hours. Support poured in from high-profile women in politics, entertainment, and business. Serena Williams tweeted, "Proud of you, Meghan. Never let them silence you." Hillary Clinton posted, "Ambition should be celebrated, not criticized." Meghan Markle is right. The narrative began to shift. What started as a scandal was turning into a rallying cry. The royal silence. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the British royal family maintained their familiar silence. No statement was issued from Buckingham Palace, but palace aides, speaking anonymously, told reporters the family was deeply disappointed by Meghan's conduct. For Meghan, that silence was both expected and infuriating. "They'll never defend me, no matter what happens," she told Harry one evening. "But maybe I don't need them to. Maybe I never did." Harry squeezed her hand. "You don't. You've got your own platform now. And people are listening." The turning point. 2 weeks after the infamous walkout, Meghan received an invitation from another major network, ABC's Good Morning America. They offered her full editorial control and promised the focus would be on her philanthropic projects, not her past with the royal family. Her advisors debated whether it was too soon, but Meghan saw an opportunity. "If I hide now, it'll look like I'm running from the criticism. If I step forward, I show them I'm not afraid." And so, she agreed. The interview aired live on a sunny Tuesday morning. Meghan appeared radiant, speaking passionately about mental health initiatives, women's empowerment, and her foundation's projects. No heated arguments, no storm outs, just a confident woman reclaiming her narrative. The public response was overwhelmingly positive. The hashtags that once mocked her now celebrated her. #Meghan Speaks, #Stand with Meghan, #Ambition is Power. Epilogue. In the end, the CBS Mornings debacle became both a low point and a turning point in Meghan Markle's public journey. Though banned from returning to that particular stage, she had carved out a larger, louder platform of her own. Gayle King continued her work, unfazed, though the clash with Meghan lingered as one of the most unforgettable moments of her career. CBS executives privately admitted that while they'd lost Meghan, they had gained record-breaking ratings. And Meghan, she stood taller than before. What the world remembered most was not the walkout, but her words. "Ambition isn't a dirty word. Unless you're a woman." Those words became a rallying cry printed on posters, shared in classrooms, and quoted in speeches worldwide. Meghan Markle had turned a televised confrontation into a global conversation, one that was only just beginning.